sure it will. Okay. I
It,
think it's recording. We'll see how it goes. We might do all of this and then it might not. I've never recorded on the Zoom on this before, this computer. So we could do all of this and then it might not save the right way, but it's still, we were going to do it anyway.
well, I'm gonna try recording on my end too.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Allow recording. Okay. Then hopefully between the two of us,
yeah.
we'll
I
be.
just wanted to make sure my audio, um, is like you can hear me fine, right? Just want to make
Yes.
sure I'm speaking through like my headset thing.
Yes. This is so fun.
So yeah, we can like start if you want a little bit, and then um,
And then stop it and test it.
and then when the food comes, I can like go get my food and
Yeah. Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
I
That's.
probably won't want to eat on camera.
Oh, I have a couple questions for you that would be good to start that aren't on the list that are like
Okay.
different questions. Okay. So, one, because we are talking about sharing this in some format, which we didn't discuss what format, but like making it accessible for other people. We kind of said this via texting, but I think it'd be fun to talk about. Why does it matter to each one of us that we would share it? Like, what's the motivation with that for each of us? Like, what is appealing about the idea of sharing it? Yeah,
Yeah. Do you want to go first or
it doesn't matter. You can go first. I can go first.
um yeah, go first.
Okay.
I'll let you take this one.
So, like, I think one of the things that drew me to you as a friend pretty quickly was your relational style that we joke around as almost being like an interviewing of thing, like the way you ask questions and engage people. You have this like curious approach and relationship that makes it so much more. It's like an invitation for a reciprocal friendship. Like,
Mm,
I think people long for that kind of connection, but they think it happens on accident. And like you actually like you're not gonna learn about other people in the way you'd like to, or get to share your life with other people in the way that you'd like to by accident. Like you have to do it on purpose. You have to ask those direct questions. And so I think like for me, the idea of sharing it, I don't necessarily think my answers to like our year in review is going to be so inspiring that somebody's going to be like, oh my gosh. But the idea, like the style of how we like, oh, let's come up with questions. Like, I think that's
yeah.
inspiring. If I was scrolling somewhere and saw a video of two friends just like asking each other questions about their year, I think I would be like, oh, I want to do that with my
Hmm.
friends, with these people. Like, I want to know their answers to those things. So, yeah, I think just sharing, I mean, I think it's just fun to share, but I think I like the idea of influencing people toward having more intentional interactions.
Yeah, and it's kind of like teaching through learning yourself by doing it.
Yeah.
And I do think that you do have profound things that will inspire people. And thank you for the nice things that you said about me. I really appreciate it. And for me, I think just right now is be hard time. Like my spirit's really um happy. Um, and this is something that can help you direct me to look back and see what what else has happened this year and kind of get me out of just being in this place of mourning, not permanently, but for this purpose. And as I feel I'm ready to and be helpful to do. I also, yeah, I just love listening to conversations. I like reaction videos. I think it's that human pull toward connection and
Yeah.
identifying with people and sharing your story in their story or
Yeah.
having them describe something that resonates with you completely and it's a completely different scenario, but I just think there's something really powerful about
I totally agree. And yeah, I love the way you put that. Part of what I was thinking about when you were talking is this quote that I don't have in front of me, so I'm probably gonna misquote, and I don't remember who
we
said
can
it.
Google it. Use the thing,
It's what?
consult the Googs. I'll
Oh
allow
yeah,
it.
I could look it up, but it says, while I Google it, something like every heartache or every wound um cries out for a benevolent witness. That idea of like sharing what's hard in our lives throughout the year and putting it out there, not necessarily like in any way to demand a pat on the back or like a there, like anything like that, but just, hey, like stories are important. Our stories are
Yeah.
important. All of our stories, every human longs for witness. And so I think, you could look at this generation that posts so much about their stories negatively, but there's like a really positive part to it that I think all of us relate to. Just the idea of sharing story is such
Hmm.
a common need that we all have witnessed to our stories. But yeah.
That reminds me of the book I'm reading um, on grieving. Um, the author talks about in our culture, we like to read stories where there's a happy ending. We like to root for the hero, which is a person who overcomes, who's happy. The villains are the people who are sad. Like we, that's kind of how we're ingrained to believe stories to be. And
Hmm.
um, some things are just, they're not problems. They can't be fixed. And it is about being able to have that space to express what you're feeling and have someone be able to listen
Yep.
and to be able to empathize with the person. Um, whereas a lot of times our culture can be avoidant of feeling pain or hearing stories that aren't happy, but it's actually the author says it's actually those stories, the people who have cancer and are battling it and maybe don't survive, and the people who lose a child or a husband. Okay. It's those stories that we need to
Yeah.
hear. It's those stories that help us grow.
Yeah. That's so good.
We need to pause.
Okay. We can pause there and you can eat pizza and I'll just stop it and see if it recorded. That can be its own little blurb. Before we answer more questions, I found that quote, so I thought I would actually name the quote. It is by Sue Monk Kidd, and it's there's no pain on earth that doesn't crave benevolent witness.
Mm,
That was the quote. So yeah. And right before your pizza arrived, I was gonna say, talking about like our stories being shared. I recently read shoot, what's it called? It's by John Eldridge. The Divine Romance. I think it's called The Divine Romance. But he
Let me
talks a
consult
lot in,
the Googs.
huh?
Let me consult the Googs.
Yeah, look, you can look it up on the Googs. Um, he talks a lot about story, and I've just been listening to his podcast a lot, and he talks a lot about story, and that's inspired me a lot this year, and just how we learn through story, how important story is. And I don't know if he says this, I'm sure he does, but just that thought that even the Bible was written to us so much in story form. Like God is the author of stories. So, of course, we crave that. We were designed that way. So, yeah,
Love that. And it's called The Sacred Romance,
sacred
Drawn
romance.
Closer to the Heart of God.
Yeah,
And I'm really interested. I'm screenshotting this so that I can
you
check
should.
that
I
author
love,
out. And then I just wanted to send, in case we're sharing it, I always like to cite my sources. So the book that I'm talking about is called It's Okay That You're Not Okay. Sorry. Meeting Grief. Okay. It's okay that you're not okay. It's probably backwards. Meeting grief and loss in a culture that doesn't understand. And it's by Megan Devine, and that's Megan, last name Devin. And doing it and highlighting a lot of stuff. So
I was going to look up the sacred romance to show it on the screen. Here's the other one. Hang on. Hang on. Do, 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 do. I just need an image of this cover, people. The Sacred Romance. That's kind of what that looks like.
really
Yeah.
pretty.
I just listened to it on Audible. That's been my thing lately. But yeah.
And
Okay.
it's by John Elridge.
John Eldridge. Yeah. And I've been listening to his podcast, Wild at Heart, since like around the beginning of this year. And I've actually listened to way less music this year because I've been so just like engaged in that podcast. It started back in like 2005 or something like that. And so I started at the very beginning of them ever doing podcasts and have just been listening through almost every day. I'll listen to a couple and I'm up to 2020. So I'm
Oh wow.
listening to them going through COVID, which is fun. But anyway, yeah,
I'll have to
that's
check that out too.
yeah, I love it so much.
I've definitely had like times where all I've listened to are podcasts or like talk radio
Hmm.
or watching like trials on YouTube or, you know, strictly like cases. Um, and then I just really miss music. And so like I start listening to music a lot. So
Yeah,
I like that we have the versatility
yeah, yeah.
in
I've
like
got it.
audiobooks too. Like
Yep, for sure. For sure.